Should we start the session? Should we start the session, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. Please go ahead.
Yeah. A very good evening, esteemed faculty for today. Ashish Makhija ji from Delhi, Vice Chairman of Ahmedabad branch, CA Bishan Shah, and I can see senior and young chartered accountants and IPs. We have both, sir, we have both the participants, those who want to do insolvency professional as well as those who are currently insolvency professionals. So a big welcome to all of you. Today is the third day of the series, and Ahmedabad branch of ICI is very, very glad and fortunate that Ashish Makhija ji has devoted his time and has given us the acceptance before 15 days for this session. Today's session is going to be a very interesting session, a pre-pack insolvency resolution process. And continuing our rich tradition, we will start the session with ICI motto. I request each one of you to place right hand on their heart for ICI motto.
Yaesha supteshu jagrati Yaesha supteshu jagrati Kamam 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 Pursho nirvimadaha Tadeva shukram Tada brahma Tadeva mritamuchyate Tasmin lokaha shataha Sarve tadunatyati kaschan Etadvaita
Welcome back. In absence of our Chairman CA Harit Dhariwal, I would request Vice Chairman CA Bishan Shah to share a few words.
Good evening all, and thank you very much, Secretary of our branch, CA Anjali Choksi. Today's learned faculty, Advocate Ashish Makhija ji. Sir, we are blessed that you have given your time and you are going to share the knowledge with all of us. And yes, we all at Ahmedabad branch are thankful to our chairman, CA Harit Dhariwal, under whose leadership we are organizing this type of different type of programs. And kudos to CA Anjali Choksi, who has taken a great initiatives and pain to organize this series on insolvency and bankruptcy code. Anjali ma'am, thank you so much that you are, always trying to come with innovative ideas and organizing different type of seminars and series, I can say, for the members at large. Though IBC is also, for me, it's a English alphabets as I am a GST involved in the GST practice, but I know that when insolvency professionals are appointed, at that time we have to take one GST registration for that company, and for that there are certain issues which we are definitely representing with the government. But yes, I can sure that with this series, members will definitely going to learn a great knowledge. It will be a great knowledge session altogether. So thank you very much. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Bishan Bhai, for always inspiring and motivating us. I'm sure even if you don't know anything about IBC, still today's session will give you so much insights about the new pre-pack insolvency resolution process. With this, I'm privileged to formally introduce the esteemed faculty for today, Advocate Ashish Makhija ji. I got a chance to listen to him for the first time when the insolvency professional registration 50 hours training we used to had before the, now it is after the insolvency professional, when he came physically 2-3 years back at Ahmedabad. Sir, it was really glad to meet you personally. And today it's my privilege to introduce you. Sir, your CV, I think I would need another session to go through the landmark achievements sir has given, but still, in order to update the audience about your achievements, sir is an academically a brilliant person. He was awarded gold medal by CBSE for obtaining 100% marks in mathematics. He was a throughout ranker, 18th in CA final exam, first rank in LLB examination from Delhi University. He is a fellow member of ICAI, ICMA. He holds 2 master degrees, not only one from India, but also from international bankruptcy from USA. He's an insolvency professional, and I'm really inspired by you. He's pursuing PhD in law from Emory School of Law, Atlanta, USA. Sir, you are excellent. You have, I think, your CV teaches so much. He is currently practicing in insolvency and corporate law matters. As managing attorney of AMC Law Firm, a firm headquartered in Delhi, he bears top credentials in corporate law, insolvency and bankruptcy law, corporate litigation and advisory. He was the standing counsel for the official liquidator attached to High Court of Delhi for 6 years, handling many large-scale cases of corporate insolvency and liquidation. He regularly appears before Supreme Court, High Court, and NCLAT, NCLT in insolvency, bankruptcy, corporate law, and arbitration matters. He has he has the distinction of being the World Bank Trade Corporate Trainer and is a much sought after faculty not only for ICI but many universities and colleges. He has also served as the adjunct professor at Thomas Jefferson School of Law, California. Sir has authored 14 books to his credit on the subject of insolvency and bankruptcy. I would just like to share that insolvency came in 2016, and from 2016 to 2021, in 5 years, Sir has written 14 books, commendable. He is an avid contributor of articles in journals and online portals of repute. He has also served as a member of monitoring group of ICSI, Institute of Insolvency Professional. He also serves as a member of the board of advisors from the MET International Journal of Judicial Science, MET Law School, Noida. He's also on the advisory board of IP Foundation, which is a trust to facilitate and address issues in the field of insolvency. He has also served as members of various committees at Delhi High Court for checking the status of technical glitches in MCA portal, high-level committee formed by MCA for amending the acts of 3 professional institutes, ICI, ICSI, and ICWA. He was a special invitee to the Corporate Law and Corporate Governance Committee at ICAI. We feel that sir is from our own fraternity. Sir, you have contributed so much to our fraternity. He has also significant corporate board experience and served as an independent director in the Shipping Corporation of India, Caterpillar India Limited, and other public and private companies. Sir, Ahmedabad branch of ICI is really very glad to welcome you, sir. We are very much thankful and will look forward to see you physically at Ahmedabad branch. A very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, first of all, I think I must thank Ahmedabad branch, and I must compliment and congratulate all the office bearers, including the dynamic secretary and vice chairman and all other office bearers who may not be present today. But thinking differently is absolutely what is required. What I call it as lateral thinking. I mean, holding seminars in some areas where people may not be aware. So that creating that awareness, I think that takes something. And I can look, a lot of participants. Of course, number is not very large, but still 37, 40 participants is such a good number. So, okay, now let's do one thing. One is, let us start with 2 conditions. I would like all the participants to open their videos because I don't want to speak to the blank screens only. Okay, so I think if you are in a position to open it, if you are lying down on your bed, of course you can't open the videos, but if you can, please do that. I think that will really help me in looking at smiling faces. Okay, that's one. 2, promise me, and particularly this is directed to Bishan Bhai. Bishan Bhai, promise me and all other participants who are not insolvency professionals कि आप अगले 3 महीने में insolvency professional बनेंगे ही बनेंगे. This is,
Sure, sir. Sure.
yes, yes. I think that's the promise which I want to take from all other participants also. See, you are missing on something. Please understand, you are missing on something. And tell me one thing. What is the harm if you add one more on your one designation or one professional degree if you write on your business card as insolvency professional? Tell me what is the harm? आप practice मत करिए. Nobody is asking you to practice as an IP if you don't wish to. But if you become a insolvency professional, it will give you such a credibility with you see a lot of other organizations, with bankers, with forensic audit, with so many other things. I mean, the knowledge of IBC, I think it is extremely important because IBC has already played a very great role and it is going to play much more role in times to come. So those people, who have got 10 year of their membership as a chartered accountant, right? They can pass limited insolvency examination and they must make that effort. Of course, the examination has become little tougher over a period of time now, but ऐसा नहीं है, चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट है तो पास तो हो ही जाएंगे. जब वहां पास हो गए तो यहाँ भी पास हो जाएंगे. कोई ऐसी बात नहीं, चाहे एक अटेम्प्ट लगेगा, 2 लगेंगे, कोई बात नहीं. But anyway, those people who have attended my sessions on limited insolvency examination, well, they have passed in first attempt and scored more than 70% also. So I can take credit that I've got 100% track record of people getting passed once they listen to me on the subject of limited insolvency examination. That's one part of it. So friends, promise me that. Acha, those who are youngsters, okay, those who are young friends who are there, who have not attained the age of 28. तो पहली बात तो ये है कि 28 साल के आप नहीं हुए, आप भी आईपी बन सकते हैं. कैसे? अब उसका भी एक राज बता देता हूँ. I can tell you another thing. You see, there is a program which is known as Graduate Insolvency Program, which is being conducted by the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, which is at Manesar. And of course, now National Law University Bhopal has also been allowed that license. So every day they take up around 45 to 50 candidates. Of course, you have to pass a small exam and group discussion and interview. You have to cross that bridge. And this is a 1-year residential program. Of course, in COVID, this is not residential, it is all virtual. So, and after that, you have to pass again limited insolvency exam, and then you are fit to become an insolvency person. So it is even for youngsters. And let me tell you one thing. If you become at the age of 29 or 30 as an insolvency professional, friends, you have got a huge career ahead of you. Look at people like me, right? अभी बाकी अंजलि जी और बिशन भाई तो बहुत यंग हैं. अब आप मुझे देखिए, अब मेरा कैरियर कितना है? How long I can practice as an insolvency professional? 10 years? 15 more years? Imagine if somebody starts at the age of 30, he or she can go up to 65 or 70. So 35 to 40 years career. आप expert तो बन ही जाओगे. So therefore, choose your career today. I think that's the best thing. And you will always thank me if you do that. Okay. So youngsters, please look at that career. और जो 10 year plus membership वाले हैं, मेरी रिक्वेस्ट है, मैंने प्रॉमिस तो ऑलरेडी एक्सट्रैक्ट कर लिया, बिशन भाई ने दे दिया सबके बिहाफ पे. सो एंटायर अहमदाबाद ब्रांच हैज प्रॉमिस्ड मी टुडे, इजंट इट? ओके, चलिए, लेट्स स्टार्ट इन द राइट अर्नेस्ट ऑफ द सब्जेक्ट, व्हिच इज अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग सब्जेक्ट. And what I'll do is I have made a small presentation, so let me share that presentation with you. I think then we will be able to understand this subject in a better way. And friends, if you have any questions in between also, maybe we can, we can discuss on that. Okay, so this is the subject is known as pre-packaged insolvency resolution plan. Friends, let me give you a small background. What do you mean by a resolution plan? Of course, you have been having a lot of sessions, but you must have heard so many things about the resolution plans and all. Let me take you back to Companies Act first. What was happening prior to IBC? जब IBC आया नहीं था, तो पहले क्या था? पहले Companies Act था. And in case the company was not able to pay debts, inability to pay debts was one of the clauses which was there contained in Companies Act. And if the company was not able to pay its debts to the extent of 1 lakh rupees, ये 1 लाख की लिमिट थी वहां पे, then any creditor could have gone to the High Court and later on to NCLT saying that please wind up the company. That was the prayer. So either the company survives or goes into liquidation, that is winding up. There was nothing in between. Of course, we had Sikh Industrial Special Provisions Act, जो Sikh industries के लिए applicable था. That was a very limited applicability because one had to be first become a Sikh company. That means 100% erosion of the net worth. And then it was applicable only to manufacturing company, not to the logistics company, consultancy companies, or other types of companies or IT companies. So there was a limited applicability for Sikh industries companies also. So there was nothing in between of a good company becoming a bad company tomorrow or going into liquidation. So the government thought, why not bring out IBC, which is applicable to all companies, and let us try to resolve the insolvency. So inability to pay debts has been deleted from the Companies Act. Now, my dear friends, it is now known as default under the IBC. So if any company commits a default, it has to first undergo the process of what is known as corporate insolvency resolution process. We'll call it a CIRP. That is the resolution process for all companies. अब इसमें एक difficulty और आ गई. Difficulty ये आ गई, like you see, what is CIRP? Once the CIRP starts, a person, insolvency person, professional like Anjali ji, they are appointed. She is appointed as the, IRP. Later, she can become an RP. What she is doing? She is basically trying to resolve the insolvency. She will come out with an advertisement कि कोई plan देना चाहता है तो दे दीजिए. So any resolution applicant will submit the plan, and those plans will be approved by the COC. If they are approved, then the company goes back. If it is not, then the company goes into liquidation. That is a mandatory liquidation. So now CIRP is a mandatory step before you can go into liquidation. So liquidation route is not available to those companies which have committed a default. Only those companies which have not committed default, which are solvent companies, can only go for voluntary liquidation. But अगर default वाली company है, उसके लिए voluntary liquidation का route बंद है. So this is what exactly is there mentioned in IBC. Now, one difficulty which we were facing, and that is why you see PPIRP or pre-packaged insolvency resolution plan was thought about it. There are categories of companies which are known as micro, small, and medium enterprises. We call them as MSMEs. Or iski classification, all of you know that it has been changed very recently. I'm not going into that. But MSMEs mein problem kya aa rahi thi? If such companies were going into CIRP and plans were being invited, well, friends, no one was filing plans for them. 90% of the MSMEs were going into liquidation. Because what were these companies? These were very small companies. No one was interested in buying a company. अब किसी के पास 2 lathe machine है, 3 lathe machine है, छोटा काम कर रहा है, nobody is bothered about those kind of companies. वो कह रहा है ठीक है, हम भी कभी मशीनरी इतनी खरीद के हम भी काम चालू कर सकते हैं. So therefore, no one was bringing out a plan. So who were the best persons to bring the plan? Only the promoters of that company. But because of one section in IBC, which is known as section 29A, which talks about eligibility of the resolution applicant, which actually effectively barred the promoters. Kyun bar kiya? Because if you have an NPA account with you, or you are declared as a willful defaulter, and there are many other conditions are there. So 99% of the promoters are actually ineligible to file plans under section 29A. So MSME के भी promoters नहीं file कर पाए. So therefore, who is going to revive those such companies? So the government and IBBI thought about a middle way, right? So what is that middle way? Let us look at this. Insolvency Law Committee subcommittee एक बनाई गई और उसने कुछ recommendations दिया. This committee was formed on 24 June 2020 under the chairmanship of IBBI chairperson MS Sahu, Dr. MS Sahu. And of course, the report was submitted on 31st October after the public comments which were taken from the public. And then when the report came, it came for the public comments. Public comments के बाद उन्होंने 4th April 2021 को they came out with an ordinance and they introduced a lot of sections in IBC. Exactly 19 more sections were added on 4th April 2021. What is this pre-packaged insolvency resolution process? I will call it as PPIRP. So friends, let us, in briefly, we will call it as PPIRP, pre-packaged insolvency resolution plan. Well, friends, the idea is that it should be out of court. CIRP में क्या होता है boss? Court में जाना पड़ता है. Speedier resolution. Now we want, because in CIRP also, the process is, of course, it is shorter process, but still it goes on for 180 days, isn't it? but they wanted a little shorter process. So there's a speedier resolution. And then they never wanted to give a free hand to the promoters, because this is a scheme which allows promoters to bring out the plan and come out with some scheme or kind of a settlement with the creditors of the company. But then there has to be some checks and balances. So some checks and balances have been introduced, right? And this is one of the option of resolving the insolvency. That means, let us see whether company can be revived or not. So court monitor processes are CIRP, or you can file section 232, that is scheme of arrangement or compromise with the creditors, which is already available. And then out of court is like you go for negotiations and you go for OTS, one-time settlement with the bankers, right? That is always available to the companies. So this is one of the out of court. But this PPIRP, my dear friends, is nothing but an hybrid formula. It is something between OTS and something between court monitored. So it is something which is a hybrid formula, and it empowers the stakeholders to resolve this financial stress of the company as a going concern. बंद नहीं करेंगे company को, as a going concern we'll try to solve it, but with the minimum interference of judiciary. रोल बड़ा लिमिटेड रखेंगे एनसीएलटी का. दैट वाज द आइडिया, दे केम आउट. अब क्यों ओटीएस? यू सी, सम पीपल डू आस्क मी अ क्वेश्चन, if OTS was there, what was the need of PPIRP? Well, friends, there is a huge difference between OTS and PPIRP. Number one, OTS is done only with the bankers, that is financial creditors. Or agar supposing there is a consortium of, not consortium, supposing you have taken loans from 5 banks, then you have to deal with 5 banks separately. In PPIRP, you don't have to deal with separately. It's a one singular scheme. This is the advantage. Number two, in PPIRP, you are not actually, in OTS, you are probably not taking care of the interest of the operational creditors, because you are dealing with only bankers and financial creditors. But in PPIRP, it's a wholesome scheme for the entire corporate debtor. That means including the operational creditors. So this is the second difference. And the third difference is, today, if you go to the banks, most of the banks will not entertain you for OTS. Everyone is afraid. क्योंकि haircut का decision लेना पड़ता है. Like you may say, okay, I'm going to pay you this much. I'm not going to pay you this much. Now, who is going to take that decision? Even chairmen are afraid of taking the decision, because tomorrow there could be a vigilance inquiry against them. But in PPIRP, there will be a stamp of the NCLT at the end of the day. So this stamp will save your skin, the skin of the bankers also. So this is the third advantage of going into PPIRP. Now, this was the amendment ordinance which was introduced. Now, of course, we know that yesterday, Lok Sabha has also passed the bill which was introduced. So after the ordinance, you have to introduce the bill. So this bill was introduced. Lok Sabha has passed it yesterday. Now, of course, Rajya Sabha has to pass it so that it can become an act. Okay. So this is, of course, applicable. Even the bill which has been passed by Lok Sabha, it is applicable with effect from 4th April. So it is applicable from a back date. That is 4th April 2021. As I mentioned earlier, 19 more sections have been added in IBC now. So IBC, friends, when it was originally introduced, it contained 255 sections. Now it has 282 sections. So it is becoming voluminous day by day. इसीलिए बोल रहा हूँ लिमिटेड इंसॉल्वेंसी एग्जामिनेशन जल्दी पास कर लो, क्योंकि जितना लेट करोगे उतना और ज्यादा पढ़ना पड़ेगा. And one more advantage, since you have to study only up to 1st January 2021, right? Your syllabus of LIE is only up to 31st December 2020. So ये 19 sections आपको नहीं पढ़ने हैं. So it is a great advantage. But if you don't pass it today, if you come under new syllabus later on, well, you will have to read them also. Okay. So then pre-packaged rules were also notified. Obviously, when the act comes, the rules and regulations, so they were also notified with effect from 9th April. And then, friends, I think some of my friends will be aware that there has to be a minimum threshold limit. CIRP can be started if the minimum amount of default is 1 crore of rupees, right? Earlier it was 1 lakh, which was increased on 24th March 2020 to 1 crore of rupees. But there is a sub-limit insofar as PPIRP is also concerned. So PPIRP में भी उन्होंने एक threshold limit रखा है that there has to be a minimum amount of default. So that notification has already been issued by the government on 9th April, and the amount has been kept at 10 lakh of rupees. So if any company particularly MSMEs, because this scheme is only right now applicable only to MSMEs. If they commit a default of 10 lakhs or more, only they are eligible. So less than 10 lakhs है तो आपको PPIRP option available नहीं है. 10 lakhs or more means it could be 1 crore, it could be 2 crore, or whatever amounts could be there. So let's have an overview of the process, friends. Now this is very important. The process is actually at 3 stages. I want to make it a little simpler for you. One, I call it as the first stage is basically preparatory stage. So you can call it as pre-PPIRP. Now you are actually trying to prepare yourself because you have to take certain approvals from the bankers and other people. So this stage or this phase is known as pre-PPIRP. The second stage is when you actually make the application for PPIRP. And the process of PPIRP starts, and it goes on for 90 days because the time limit is 90 days instead of 180 days under CIRP. So it is absolutely 50% of that. And then here what happens is, now what is the difference between CIRP and PPIRP? Let us understand that. In CIRP, supposing ma'am Anjali ji is appointed as the IRP, now she will walk into the company's managing director's room and will tell the MD, please walk out of the room. आज से मैं MD हूँ company की. She is the board of director of the company because the entire board remains suspended. Their powers remain suspended. So here, but in PPIRP, they have given an advantage that look, if you go for PPIRP, no IRP will displace you. You will continue to run the company during those period of 90 days. Now, this is the hybrid formula. This is what I was telling. And this is a great advantage कि आप अपनी company के भी मालिक हैं और साथ साथ PPIRP भी चला रहे हैं. Otherwise, CRP में क्या है? You are basically out and somebody else comes and takes over the company and the company is resolved. And 99% of the cases, you can take it for granted that the promoters generally lose their companies. या तो liquidation में चली जाएगी तो वैसे ही बंद हो जाएगी. Otherwise, the promoters are going, they can't file the plan because they are debarred under 29, so somebody else is going to take over the company. But then there could be a third stage. If the PPIRP process management is in the working running the company, but supposing they commit some fraud, they do some transactions for defrauding the creditors, then the COC, which is formed out here, it can take a decision and it can make an application to adjudicating authority that look, now the management should vest in the IRP, the RP who is appointed, because RP will obviously be appointed in PPIRP also to assist, but he or she is not taking over the company. But then a resolution can be passed and then the person can be asked to take over. So that could be the third stage, but it is going to come only in extreme cases, right? So that extreme case will be equal to CIRP now. But generally speaking, the PPIRP will be without vesting of the management. But there could be a vesting of management in the hands of the RP. That is under two circumstances only. I'll come to that. I'll come to that in a little while. Okay. So this is what it is there. So what is the process? A, check the default amount threshold. That means whether you are crossing 10 lakhs rupees or not. Then under 54A, which is a newly added section, you have to check the eligibility conditions. All MSMEs are not eligible. There are certain eligibility conditions which are mentioned out there. I'll come to that in a little while. Let me give you an overview first. And basically, eligibility condition 54A. So A stands for admissibility, right? So whether your case is admissible or not, you can remember 54A with admissibility, that means eligibility conditions. Then duties of the RP before initiation of PPIRP. So the duties are given for that. That means this is pre-PPIRP stage, but RP is actually functioning during that period also. So this is the difference between CIRP and PPIRP. In PPIRP, RP's role start even prior to the actual PPIRP stage, right? So B stands for before. That means, so one can remember 54B means before the PPIRP, what are the duties of the RP, what are there? And then eligibility application for initiation of PPIRP 54C. C here stands for commencement. Now the actual commencement takes place because now you are moving an application for initiating the PPIRP. And time limit for completion is given in 54D. D stands for duration. So you can remember that for duration, you will have to look 54D. So that's an easiest way. And then moratorium and public announcement, because some kind of moratorium will kick in, and public announcement also will may be made, because it is not mandatory to be made, but may be made, and that is known as 54E. E stands for external things. So these are external things, right? Moratorium and public announcement. So you'll have to deal with the public also. And duties and powers of the RP during PPIRP are given in 54F. F stands for functions. So what are the functions of the RP during PPIRP, duties and powers? Because his role becomes different when the PPIRP starts. One is pre-PPIRP, that is 54B, but 54F says duties and powers during PPIRP. And then a list of claims and preliminary IM. So some kind of activities which are to be done during the PPIRP stage, that how the list of claims are to be done and how the preliminary IM will be prepared. So that is that section. And management of affairs is of CD is 54H. H stands for handling of the company, right? So handling means handling the affairs of the company, managing the affairs of the company. So that is what it is there. And committee of creditors will be 54I. Well, I, you can say, is interim boss. Who is the interim boss? Committee of creditors. Well, somebody is sitting upon you. Of course, they are not interfering, but then some decisions you can't take without their approval. Then vesting of management with RP. Now, this is a section which can bring in the third stage. And 54J. J stands for jeopardy. Now the interest of the promoters are jeopardized, right? Because they have done something bad. COC takes a call. One goes to the adjudicating authority, gets an order, and the vesting goes from their hands. Management goes from their hands. It comes in the hands of the RP. So it is J stands for jeopardy. Consideration and approval of the resolution plan. 54K. Well, K phonetically, you can also say K for consideration, isn't it? So it's a simple thing you can understand. 54K is for consideration and approval of the resolution plan. And then approval of the resolution plan, I will call it as 54L, means the last step, right? L stands for the last step. The approval of plan is the last step. So 54L stands for the last step. And then there are nominal sections when the appeal against orders and termination of PPIRP and so on and so forth. So those kind of things are there. And then one more section which is very important is that during PPIRP, even CIRP can be initiated. 54O. O stands for original CIRP. Okay, so you can actually start the original provisions of CIRP also. You can bring in COC can take a call in between that let us start CIRP instead of PPIRP. Well, that is up to them, right? And then application of CIRP provisions. So P stands for provisions of CIRP. So those are also applicable if the CIRP starts, right? That is what it is there. And of course, grounds of appeal, which is section 61 has been amended. And these some amendments have also come in. I'm not going into more technical details. Let us try to understand 2-3 things. I think this I can also skip as far as the definitions are concerned. Yes, these are few things I think you must acquaint yourself. PPIRP, I'm going to use these kind of, acronyms. And one is known as BRP, which is known as Base Resolution Plan. This is extremely important, friends. Base Resolution Plan. Okay. Now, how do we go about Base Resolution Plan? Okay, Base Resolution Plan is BRP. We will definitely talk about this. Then Base Resolution Plan is submitted by the corporate debtor, because you see, point is, I want to retain my own company. Therefore, I must be given an opportunity to bring a plan. And that plan, which is brought by the CD or the promoters, is known as base resolution. Ek base ban gaya. Now, this plan can be impaired. This can be unimpaired. That means impaired means if there are, say, 100 crores worth of creditors, and I'm saying I'm going to pay you 99 crores. So there is an impairment of 1 crore. Even a single rupee impairment is known as impairment. So if you are paying something less than what the creditors' claims are, then it will be called as impaired base resolution plan. So plan can be impaired or can be non-impaired also. I will come to that. And then next is evaluated resolution plan. Now, the system is like this. Let us try to understand system broadly, and then we'll go into finer details. CD brings an base resolution plan. it goes to the committee of creditors. Committee of creditor has the option to approve it. If they approve it, matter ends. But supposing they say, sorry, we are not approving it. Please change it, revise it. Supposing it is revised also, but they are still not happy. So they have not approved it. Now they will tell the RP, because RP is there, कि साहब अब market को explore करते हैं. Let's come out with EOI. Let's bring in the plans from the market. Let's do the price discovery. This is known as price discovery mechanism. Now they will ask him to bring in more resolution plans. So now many resolution plans will come. And supposing 4 more plans come, out of that, now they will evaluate based on certain evaluation matrix or some whatever criteria you have established. Out of that, they will pick up the best plan, and that plan will be called as evaluated resolution plan. So best market plan other than BRP will be known as evaluated resolution plan, ERP. अब किसमें फाइट है? अब ये समझ लीजिए BRP और ERP में फाइट होगी. अब second chance promoter को दोबारा मिलेगा. Now the promoters are going to get a second life now. First their plan was rejected, BRP, but the COC asked for the outside plans. The outside plans came, evaluated, and it becomes ERP. Now here is one BRP, here is one ERP. Now there is a fight between these two. And if out of both of them, if some plan is now called as, they will be compared on a certain criteria, which is known as significantly better resolution criteria. Out of these two plans, one plan will be called as SBRP. दोनों में से जो best plan होगा, not best plan, it should satisfy the requirement of SBRP. वो मैं आपको भी थोड़ी देर में, I'll just take you there also. So if you see that if there is a significantly better resolution plan, that will be picked up. It is not yet approved, my dear friends. It is picked up and it will go back to the COC for approval. And if they approve it, then the plan will be called as approved resolution plan. So this is the way, the process which is going to go. But let us go a little deeper onto this. I think this is a very interesting process. So process in detail, let us try to understand. Okay, first you have to check the default amount threshold. Supposing any client comes to you, देखिए एक सबसे काम और आपको करना चाहिए, और मेरी it is a request to the Ahmedabad branch also. See, we may discuss in-house PPIRP, chartered accountants, IPs, IRPs, कोई मतलब नहीं है. ठीक है, our understanding, knowledge, very good. We have to understand first, only then we are able to make the other industrialists understand it. But I think this knowledge should percolate towards the MSME sector. तो मेरी suggestion क्या है कि if you can organize certain seminars with MSMEs or some associations or maybe some industry associations of small scale industries, I think make them aware. They should come back to the IPs and say, हमारा PPIRP start कराओ. अभी तक उनको मालूम ही नहीं है PPIRP है क्या. So please let us make that aware. I think a joint program with that, IBBI is doing some programs. In fact, they did one program for bankers. So I was invited to speak on PPIRP. One program they did for the some chambers of commerce. So I was also invited in that program. So please do that. I think that will really not only, you see, क्या होता है कि see chartered accountant discussing themselves, well, we are a very good fraternity. But if you start touching the community, if you start touching the industry, definitely they will value you and they will bring, you see, a lot of work to you also. They will get introduced to most of the chartered accountants. अभी देखिए विशाल जी ने कहा वो GST के एक्सपर्ट हैं. अरे भाई, अगर आप लेके आओगे स्मॉल स्केल वालों को तो उनको पता चल जाएगा ना कि विशाल जी GST का करते हैं, अंजलि जी IP हैं, ऐसे सबको मालूम चलेगा कौन किस में एक्सपर्ट है. Anyhow, that's besides the point. So minimum amount of default is 10 lakh of rupees. So now the promoters who have committed minimum 10 lakh default, they can approach you. And once they approach you, you can also advise them. कि साहब आप बताइए आपका default कितना है, right? And this default, of course, central government can increase it to 1 crore of rupees, but right now it has been pegged at 10 lakh rupees. Second, your job is to ask them a simple question. Are you MSME? तभी PPIR में आप fall करेंगे. So that is the second question which you are going to ask. Now the third question is registration mandatory under MSME Act? इसमें आपके I'll draw your attention to two sections, section 7 and 8 of MSME. Please read those sections at your own pleasure later on. Section 7 only talks about classification. that who is classified. And of course, we have a notification now which classifies the this thing on the basis of investment and on the basis of the other things. So those and turnover criteria is also there now, right? 1 crore, 5 crore, then 5 crore, 50 crores, and then you see other things are 25 crores and you see 100 crores. So those limits are there, which we are all aware. But the question is, if I have to make an application to NCLT, do I need Udyam registration? Because Udyam registration is covered in section 8. It is not covered in section 7. Section 7 only talks about classification of MSME. Section 8 says registration. The law which has been propounded in PPIRP, it says that you must be classified as MSME. Law is silent about registration. And if you look at the rules also which have been prepared now, there is a form number 1 which is an application. और फॉर्म नंबर 1 के अंदर कॉलम नंबर 8 है. कॉलम 8 says either you attach Udyam registration certificate or there is an or you bring an evidence that you are classified as MSME. That means एक चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट का सर्टिफिकेट लगा दें कि साहब मेरी टर्नओवर इन्वेस्टमेंट क्राइटेरिया मैच करती है, मेरे पास उद्यम नहीं है, even then you are qualified. But my suggestion would be, if you can obtain a Udyam registration, which is very quick process, I think it's not a difficult process. Rather, suggestion करें और chartered accountants हैं तो उसका भी पैसा लें, registration कराने का भी. So do that, I think, and that's very quicker. That's online only, so one can get within 24 hours. You can get that registration number. So, but registration is not mandatory. Okay. Now, the conditions which I told you under 54A, there is certain eligibility criteria, and the first criteria is that the company must not have undergone PPIRP or must not have completed CIRP during 3 years preceding the initiation date. Now, this is extremely important, friends. Prior 3 years prior to the initiation date, जब भी आप जा रहे हैं, उससे 3 साल पहले चेक कर लें, कभी PPIRP तो नहीं हुई थी. PPIRP तो obviously नहीं होगी because this is a new thing. But CIRP आप देख लीजिए कि CIRP complete नहीं, because any company which has completed CIRP during last 3 years is not entitled for PPIRP. Number 2, it must not be under liquidation, right? So it should not be not under liquidation or not undergoing CIRP. That is also second condition. If a company is already under CIRP, obviously it can't convert itself to PPIRP. So that option is out. Third, if the company is already under liquidation, well, such company is also not eligible. So you have to check, do all these checks which are mentioned there. And then the next one is very important. You have to now check from the angle of 29A that the person must be eligible to submit resolution plan. So that must be checked. And I must tell you, for MSME sectors, section 240A is there in IBC, which gives exemptions to the promoters and the MSMEs from 2 clauses of 29A, 29AC and 29AH. 2 clauses are there from which the exemption has been given to the small scale industry, MSME sector. So 29AC talks about whether you have an NPA account or not. So if you have an NPA account, even then you are eligible to file. On 29AH says that if you have given a personal guarantee and that has been invoked and that is being unpaid, then you are disqualified. But that exemption is there for the promoters of MSMEs. So I think they get some advantage out of it. And now what will happen is, now this is the pre-PPIRP process, friends. First, you have checked the eligibility. Now everything is fine. Let's go to the second step now. What is the second step? Now you have to find out who are unrelated financial creditors. Or related party ki definition is given in section 524, 5 subsection 24, which is a very long section. So check who are financial creditors, और financial creditors को 2 part में divide कर दीजिए, related and unrelated, non-related. So whosoever are unrelated, उनसे पूछिए साहब आप किसको RP बनाना चाहते हैं. Every financial creditor which has 10% or more of the total financial debt is entitled to propose a name. 10% or more of the total financial debt. Okay. Assuming there are 3 financial creditors who are having more than 10%. So all the 3 can propose one name. Supposing now 3 names come, A, B, and C, right? Now who's going to decide? Well, now an informal meeting of the unrelated financial creditors will be held. अभी COC नहीं बनी है, this is not COC. There will now CD, corporate debtor will convene the meeting of unrelated financial credit. अभी IP का रोल भी स्टार्ट नहीं हुआ है because IP तो अपॉइंट ही नहीं हुआ, right? So minimum notice of 5 days is given and a meeting will be called, which will be a kind of a formal meeting, but it is pre-PPIRP. So what these people will do in their meeting, now they will decide with 66% majority in value of financial debt that this person is now appointed as RP. और इसको अब interim नहीं बोलेंगे, ये RP बन गया. From first day onwards, the person will become RP and not IRP. But 66% majority इसमें चाहिए और वैल्यू में, not in numbers. So that person will be treated as the RP. Now one question can arise. Supposing साहब कोई unrelated financial creditor ही नहीं है, फिर क्या होगा? क्योंकि related financial creditors नहीं decide कर सकते. Then it will go to the unrelated operational creditors. फिर उनकी meeting होगी. So I think law has always emphasized that. So they will propose and then they can approve the name of one person to be appointed as RP. Now अब RP आ गया, अब RP का role start हो जाएगा, right? So अच्छा, one more very good thing which has been done in PPIRP is CIRP has created a problem for IPs to some extent. फीस का बड़ा problem रहता है. एक तो डिसीजन नहीं होता, डिसीजन हो जाता तो पेमेंट नहीं होता. अब यहाँ पे इन्होंने एक बहुत अच्छा काम कर दिया. They have done a fantastic job that once they approve the name, then they will have to kind of sign an engagement letter also, which is in form number P3. I call it as an engagement letter. और उसमें सारे जो COC member, not COC, financial creditors हैं, one of the financial creditors on behalf of all FCs will sign that engagement letter as a approval of terms of RP. This is a fantastic thing. So your fees is decided. And fees will be decided 3 parts. Pre-PPIRP stage, PIRP stage, PPIRP stage, and third is when the vesting is done to you. Because हो सकता है कि RP को बड़ा role adopt हो जाए when he has to take the control of the company. So 3 stages fees has to be decided in advance. And another good thing which has happened is that the money which is supposing PPIRP starts, and the amount has to be paid by the corporate debtor. Fees who is going to pay? CD is going to pay. Another good thing which they have done is that COC, after once the PPIRP starts, COC will be there. They will ask, rather it is mandatory, they shall ask the CD to open an escrow account and deposit the entire amount in that you see escrow account. तो आपकी फीस तो guaranteed हो गई, अब कहीं नहीं जा रही, क्योंकि escrow account एक तो engagement letter बन गया, and second, not only engagement letter, you are now assured of the money because it is parked separately. So this is one good thing which has happened. Now, what is the next step? Now, declarations from the majority of directors are required. Or agar in case it is an LLP, obviously majority of partners, okay? What are the declarations which are required? Number 1, CD will file the application for PPIRP in time period not exceeding 90 days. So they will take guarantee. Bankers को assure कर देंगे कि साहब हम 90 दिन के अंदर अंदर application file कर देंगे. Now you must be wondering why we require 90 days, because 90 days is required, my dear friends, to prepare, right? To prepare certain things. Number 2, they will also declare that PPIRP is not to defraud any person. That is the second declaration which they are going to do. Third declaration is obviously that name of IP has been proposed and approved. So these 3 declarations are to be given by majority of the directors or partners. This is the another condition, eligibility. Next, corporate debtor will now pass a special resolution. Not only board resolution, you require special. That is why 90 days. Again, अब meeting बुलाने में time तो लगेगा ना special resolution pass करने के लिए. So you have to pass a special resolution, or 3/4 of the total partners. If it is a LLP, 3/4 of the total number of partners should approve the filing of application for PPIRP. So steps are very clear. First, an formal meeting of you see unrelated FC is there where RP is appointed. His fees is also decided and amount is parked. And then declarations are given, 3 declarations and special resolution. So these are the few steps which are to be given. Now, अब RP का role start हो गया boss. Now CD will provide declarations, CD will provide special resolution, and CD will provide BRP, base resolution plan भी पहले ही तैयार करके रखेगी. That is why you require 90 days. Now, this one, now they will again hold a meeting of the unrelated financial creditors. Second meeting होगी अब. In this second meeting, now the approval will be given or not given by the unrelated FCs whether they allow the company to start PPIRP or not, and with the 66% majority. So if they approve, okay, you go ahead with the PPIRP now. अभी BRP plan approve नहीं हुआ है, वो सिर्फ एक sample plan उनको गया था. So now they are giving an approval. Okay, you start the process now. So pre-PPIRP is over. Now RP will make the will prepare the report, and then in that report he will confirm. Now the role of RP is that he will confirm that CD meets all the requirement. That means it is an MSME, the default amount is more than 10 lakhs, and no CRP is going on. It is not under liquidation. Compliance of 29A is also done. Special resolution is passed. Declarations given. BRP confirms to the requirement. So this is a detailed report RP will file, right? And now he will also move an application now in form number 1. So इसमें application कौन लगाएगा? अब application जो लगाया जाएगा वो CD लगाएगा, obviously with the help of the RP, right? CD application लगाएगा, they will attach declarations, they will attach special resolution, they will also attach approval of the financial creditors because उन्होंने ये तो approve किया, and consent of the RP will also be taken to act as the RP in this case, okay? And then there are 1 or 2 more declarations like regarding existence of avoidance transactions or not. These are certain technical issues, so we can just skip it right now. Then adjudicating authority will now approve or reject start of PPIRP within 7 days. Look at the time limit, within 7 days. अब ये होगा या नहीं होगा वो बात की बात है, but at least the law says 7 days, okay? Because in CIRP also they said in section 7, 9, 14 days. So 14 days तो पता नहीं 140 days कब हो जाते हैं पता नहीं चलता. Anyhow, and now supposing they admitted, the date of admission will be known as prepackaged insolvency commencement date, PPICD. So that will become PPICD. क्यों? क्योंकि साहब अब जो PPICD है उसमें आपको 90 days के अंदर अप्रूवल लेना है और 30 days को आपको मिलेंगे for the NCLT to approve it. So total number of days which will start are 120 days, right? PPIRP completion period is 120 days from PPICD. और इस 120 days को 2 part में divide किया है. 90 days is given to the COC to approve the plan, and 30 days has been given to the adjudicating authority to approve the plan. So this is the specific thing which has been given to this thing. So RP will submit the plan within 90 days. और इसमें बड़ा clear है, अगर 90 days में कोई extension नहीं है, because there is no provision for extension and the law is very clear. If you fail to file, then RP is bound to file an application for termination of PPIRP after 90 days. No option. सब कहानी खत्म, या तो 90 days या कुछ नहीं. This is what it is very clear, okay? And the moment, my dear friends, the application is filed, obviously moratorium will kick in. Just like in CIRP, moratorium will start. And those who are not aware what is moratorium, moratorium is very simple. Well, section 14(1) gives moratorium for 4 aspects: legal cases, sale or transfer of the assets, and action by the bankers against SARFAESI or not. And 4th is leaseholders will also not be entitled to get their property. So 4 moratoriums are there under section 14(1) A, B, C, D. So those will also apply in case of PPIRP. So moratorium भी लग गया. अब उसके बाद साहब क्या करना है, अब RP भी अपॉइंट हो गया क्योंकि now adjudicating authority says okay, you are the RP, now you take over. Now what he will do is he will cause public announcement. But this public announcement is different from CIRP because this announcement is not to be made in newspapers. It is to be made only on the website of CD and the website of IBBI. Now this is a difference. So public announcement is only e-public announcement, electronic public announcement. This is a big difference. No अखबार में notice का कोई provision नहीं है. अब किसी ने question पूछ लिया था कि सर फिर भी कर सकते हैं. मैंने कहा साहब देखिए law के beyond आप जितना करना चाहते हो कर लो, extra कर लो, but at least उतना तो comply कर लो, right? Okay. So moratorium period अब कहाँ तक लगेगा? Starts from PPICD and ends at when the PPIRP gets terminated, which is naturally 90 days, right? So generally moratorium, or ho sakta hai PPIRP process, if it ends earlier, then moratorium will also end earlier. That is natural, okay? Then RP will now conduct PPIRP. देखिए पहले PPI प्री PPIRP में उसने रिपोर्ट बनाया फॉर्म नंबर 8 में, पूरा डिटेल बनाया, सब एलिजिबिलिटी चेक किया, कोर्ट को सपोर्ट कर लिया, एंड दैट इज व्हाई एडजुडिकेटिंग अथॉरिटी विल बी एबल टू डिसाइड इन 7 days because now they are getting the support of RP. In fact, I had suggested to IBBI that look, even in CIRP, the moment an application is filed, give it to any one insolvency professional, let him apply his mind and let him submit a report so that the job of the adjudicating authority becomes easier to decide. Why they have to spend too much of time on this? और देखिए फटाफट होगा क्योंकि एक प्रोफेशनल काम कर रहा. Anyhow, let's see if that change comes. But at least in this, they have taken this. So now duties of RP, powers of RP, they are all listed. Let us look at the role of the RP. अब role क्या है देखिए. कोई claims invite नहीं हो रहे. Public announcement it was only for the announcement that PPIRP has started, but we are not inviting claims. Why? Who is in charge of the management? The promoters themselves. So they will actually give the list of claims as per the books of account to RP. RP का काम कितना आसान हो गया. उसको तो बनी बनाई लिस्ट मिल गया. Now what he has to do is he has to just confirm that list. How will he confirm? He will inform the creditors. कोई अखबार का नोटिस नहीं है. Maybe he'll send an email or maybe send a letter to them and he'll say, look, this is the amount. If you have any objection, tell me within 7 days. So 7 days time is given to the creditors to file objections. And then he can, supposing somebody objects, then he can call for evidence and he will consider every objection and he will update the list. देखिए अब कौन adjudicating authority हो गया? RP. RP will consider all objections and then he will update the list of the claims. So जो claim list आपको promoters ने दिया, then RP will finalize that list. And these are the duties of the RP. He is going to monitor the management of the affair. He is not in charge of the management, but he is like a supervisory role. He is sitting there just watching. That's all. He's a watchdog now. And he will obviously will attend board meetings and all committee meetings during the tenure. And he will inform the creditors if there is any breach. अगर कोई गड़बड़ हो रही है तो उसकी क्या ड्यूटी है? बोला COC को बता दो. बोला मेरा काम खत्म. मैं तो watchdog हूँ. Action तो आपने लेना. I'm not a bloodhound. Okay. Just like auditors are watchdog, they are not bloodhound. So IRP is also not that. And his role is now, based on the updated list of claims, now he will also constitute COC. And COC will naturally consist of financial creditors and unrelated financial creditors, just like in CIRP. Section 21 applies, same provisions apply here, right? And then he will also prepare IM, which is information memorandum. इसमें भी उसका काम आसान है. He has to make whole effort from scratch in case of CIRP, but in case of PPIRP, a preliminary IM will be prepared by the management and they will hand it over. आपको फाइनलाइज करना है, बस उसको पढ़ के उसमें ठीक लिखा है कि नहीं लिखा. That's all. But his role is also there for avoidance applications. Now, my friends will recall, those who are IPs, they will recall that for avoidance transaction applications in CIRP, the time limit is 75 days, 115 days, and 135 days. Right? Here, the time limits are little lower. It is 30, 45, 60. What do you mean by this time limit? In 30 days, he has to make an opinion whether such type of transaction exists or not. Within 45 days, he has to determine. अब उसको बिल्कुल एग्जैक्ट अमाउंट बताना है कि हाँ साहब अब मैंने डिटरमाइन कर लिया इतना अमाउंट है. And within 60 days, he has to file the application. Right? Opinion, determination, filing. I call it as ODF. So ODF he has to do 30, 45, 60 days. In CIRP, it was 75, 115, 135 days. So this is a shorter process. Obviously, because अगर 90 days है, तो obviously time limit तो short होगा ही होगा. Then these are a few things which we can skip. He has to disclosure has to be made, preservation of records, disclosure of cost and filing of reports. वो तो सब duties रहती हैं RP की, reports वगैरह बहुत file करने. हाँ, these are important ones. Now, what will happen is, he has to make public announcement within 2 days of PPICD. जो हमने public announcement की बात करी, number of days are 2. He will constitute and he will also hold COC meetings. जैसे CIRP में he does that, similar way he is going to hold COC meetings. And again, he's going to appoint 2 registered valuers. Just like CIRP, he will appoint 2 registered valuers who will give liquidation value and fair market value. Now, if the COC is not satisfied with BRP and they ask him to submit, now come out with an EOI, that is invitation for resolution plan, uska bhi form इन्होंने दिया हुआ, all forms are there, then he will actually invite resolution plans. He will come out with EOI. And once the plan is approved, any plan is approved, then he will make an application to adjudicating authority. And if no plan comes, he will move another application for termination of the process. So uska bhi separate form इन्होंने दे दिया है. So these are the role, functions, powers, duties of so and so. Powers में देखिए उसका क्या है? He can access all books of accounts because he has to verify list of claims. He has to finalize the IM also. He can access records with the information utility. He can access books of accounts with the government authority. Now, this is a great power. अभी तक क्या है कि चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स इनकम टैक्स ऑफिस के सामने जाके सर बोलते हैं. Now here IPs can command and say write to the income tax department के बोले साहब इसका income tax का रिटर्न दीजिए इस कंपनी का हमें. अब देखिए उल्टी गंगा बह रही है. So therefore you are very powerful as an IP, right? So you can write to all the government authorities, including income tax or maybe ESI, PF or whatever department you want to write. And you have to attend board meetings and committee meetings and so and so. You can appoint accountants, legal and other professionals to assist you. And then you can collect information about the CD and other things also, right? So these are the few things which I'm going to be skipping now. Let us look at the processes which are there. Banks will also furnish information to RP as required, whatever information they want, and personnel of the CD must cooperate, obviously, employees and everyone. If they don't cooperate, then he can also move an application to this. And fees के लिए ये 2 बड़े important regulations are Regulation 8 and 14, which are very good. Number 1, engagement letter is to be signed. Number 2, the fees is to be deposited in escrow account. So your fees is guaranteed now. You don't have to run from pillar to post to get your monies which are there, okay? So I'm just skipping few of this. Let me go to the important part of it. Yes, this is the very most important part. Let us understand this. Corporate debtor, that means the promoters, have to submit the BRP within 2 days of PPICD. अब देखिए, don't go by the number of days because उन्होंने plan तो पहले ही बनाया हुआ है, because some base resolution plan they had to prepare even during pre-PPIRP process, isn't it? So this plan is already made out. They will hand over this to the RP. RP को दे दिया. Now RP's duty is to constitute the COC, and once it is constituted, he will present BRP to the COC. सबसे पहला काम उसका यही है. Now COC may provide opportunity to revise BRP. वो कह रहे साहब आपका BRP ठीक नहीं है, इसको revise करिए. Once the revised BRP comes, then they may approve it. Again, the word is may. They may or may not, because again, you require 66% now. They may approve it only if there is no impairment to the debts of the operational creditors. Underline this word, friends, operational creditors. Let me give you an example. Supposing 10 crores was due to the financial creditors and 5 crore was due to the operational creditors. The BRP says, I will pay 50% to the financial creditor. That means there is a haircut of 50% to FCs. That means instead of 10 crore, they are getting 5 crores. But for OCs, he says, I'm going to pay you 100%, that is 5 crores. So now there is no impairment to OCs in the plan. There may be an impairment to the FCs. Such a plan can be approved. But if the plan says instead of 5 crores to OCs, he's going to pay say 4 crores, 3 crores or 2.5 crores, supposing there is an impairment, even a 1 rupee less is an impairment, then in that case, the plan will be known as impaired plan as far as the OCs are concerned. And such a plan, BRP, cannot be approved by COC at the first stage. इस स्टेज पे अप्रूव नहीं कर सकते, बाद में कर लें, वो तो एक अलग बात है, बाद में, because there will be a competition between ERP and BRP. But at that stage, there should be no impairment, because the reason is very simple. Operational creditors are not part of COC. So therefore, they must get some advantage. कि भाई आपको impairment नहीं दे रहे, हाँ हम impairment ले लेंगे. So therefore, COC is entitled to approve only if the plan does not contain any impairment for the debts of OCs. This is extremely important, friends. Okay, so BRP may or may not be approved. कोई जबरदस्ती नहीं है. That is what there. Now, if the BRP is not approved or BRP contains impairment to any OC's claim, obviously it will not be approved in that case. Then COC will ask the RP to invite prospective resolution applicants. अब वो कहेगा साहब बाहर से प्लान मंगाओ, pre-discovery discovery, let us discover the price. This is known as price discovery mechanism. When the plan comes, all the plans will be presented to the COC for evaluation. बोला अब evaluate कर लो जी. And COC had already decided, will also decide evaluation matrix. On that criteria, it will give a score. Like let us assume now 3 plans have come. So one was BRP. Let us call that plan as A. Then there are 3 plans which have come, say, let us say B, C, D. Now we will evaluate in accordance with our evaluation matrix. Supposing B plan gets a score of say 82. C plan gets a score of say 75. And D plan gets a score of 65. Now out of evaluation, now plan B is getting the highest score. This plan B will now become ERP. This is known as evaluated resolution plan. This is known as evaluated. So some scoring is to be given, that is there. So COC will select one resolution plan which is known as ERP. ये first selection process है. Selection process तीन जगह जाएगा, S1, S2, S3. So I am calling it as S1, selection 1. So you have selected the best plan out of the market plans. Now what I'll do is I will now compare ERP with the BRP. And I will try to find out whether ERP is significantly better than BRP or not. Now you must be wondering, what is the criteria? Let us do, you see, one exercise. Now I will also give a score to BRP, right? BRP will also be evaluated against that evaluation plan. Supposing BRP gets 76 score. और हमारा जो evaluated resolution plan था, supposing it got 82 marks. So 82 as compared to 76. Now beforehand, COC will also decide what is the criteria for significantly better resolution plan. Supposing COC says, if the difference between BRP and ERP is 10 or more, supposing उन्होंने कहा 10 का score का difference होना चाहिए, then ERP will be called as significantly better resolution plan. Or they can say 10% better होना चाहिए, whatever. I mean, that criteria is left to the wisdom of the COC. So you can decide anything. I've just given you 2 examples. It could be an absolute number, it could be percentage, it could be a mix of anything. But both the plans will be compared and will be considered on the basis of significantly better criteria. एक second criteria और establish करना पड़ेगा. So now, if the ERP is better, significantly better than SBRP, now it will be known as SBRP, significantly better resolution plan. Now COC may select SBRP for approval. This is known as selection number 2. पहले ERP select किया, ERP के बाद उसको SBRP बनाया, अगर बनता है तो, अगर नहीं बनेगा तो अलग बात होगी, ठीक है? So if it is done, then it will be selected for approval. It will go to COC for approval. Supposing they approve it, then it is fine. But supposing if SBRP is not there, supposing like in our case, the difference between the points is 6 only. And COC had decided the difference must be minimum of 10. So now ERP is not a significantly better resolution plan. Now ERP will compete with BRP. अब इसको बोलते हैं Swiss challenge. अब थर्ड सिलेक्शन आएगा, अब दोनों में कंपटीशन स्टार्ट हो गया. और स्विस चैलेंज क्या होता है? जनरली इट्स लाइक एन ओपन कंपटीशन, राइट? सो इसमें एक एंकर प्लान माना जाता है, एंड एंकर प्लान के बाद यू सी द अदर पार्टी विल सबमिट अ बेटर प्लान, और फिर उसके बाद उसको फर्स्ट एंकर प्लान वाले को फिर चांस दिया जाता है कि वेदर यू वांट टू अप्रूव इट और नॉट. सो बेस्ड ऑन कंपटीशन, ERP or BRP will be selected. That is a third selection, S3. And this is selection for approval, right? Abhi approve nahi hua hai. So now we are picking either ERP or BRP. And that plan will go to COC for approval again. And now COC may approve the plan or may not. Iska bhi फिर chance hai, wo approve ho ya na ho. 66% is required. So this is the whole process. So friends, what are lessons we have learned from here? Number one, if I am advising SMEs, I will tell them, please do not do impairment to OCs in your BRP, because if you do that, then COC cannot approve it at the first stage. फिर तो compete करना ही पड़ेगा आपको, फिर तो Swiss challenge में आओगे. So why to go for that? Don't give a chance to COC. So give your plan which does not impair the debts of OCs. हाँ, FCs को दे दो आप haircut. Supposing COC approves it, matter ends. PPIRP is over. You will go to NCLT for approval. But if the COC does not approve at the first stage, then the entire process starts. Then you have to A, find out first ERP, B, you have to find out SBRP, then for approval resolution plan, FARP for approval resolution plan. And if that plan is there, then that plan will go to COC for approval. So these are the acronyms. I think I've already mentioned 2-3 times, so I'm just skipping this. Now, there is one more aspect to it. अब थोड़ा सा twist है. If BRP becomes approved resolution plan, मान लीजिए अब BRP win कर गया and it becomes ARP, but it contains impairment of any claim. Here the word is any claim. Now it is not OCs. So there are two different impairments are there. One impairment is only to the debts of OCs, but second impairment is any debts, any claim owed by any creditor. Then in that case, COC may require, look at the word which I have written, it says may require dilution of shareholding control or voting or control of the promoters. अब देखिए, अगर आपने हेयर कट दिया किसी को भी, OCs को या FCs को भी, तो COC आपको ये कह सकता है, they can come to you and say, look, you now dilute your shareholding, you dilute your voting, you dilute your control over the company. I am not going to allow this. That means majority control जो है आपको lose करना पड़ेगा. So now the promoters may have to, give in more than 50%. So impairment लाओगे तो company 50% आपके हाथ से जा सकती है. That is also what it is there. But here it is, word is may, right? May require. So COC may not require it. Okay. So now if COC still approves the plan, despite the fact that there is an impairment, then they will record reasons why they have approved such a plan. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि अप्रूव नहीं हो सकता, वो भी प्लान अप्रूव हो सकता है, but then COC has to give reasons. And then once they have approved it, RP will submit that approved plan to the adjudicating authority. अब देखिए इसमें दो चीजें very interesting. BRP, if it contains impairment to the OCs at the first stage, cannot be approved at the first stage. Second stage with impairment can be approved, but COC may ask for dilution of voting or the control, or if they don't ask for it, then they have to record reasons in writing. And that plan will then be submitted to the adjudicating authority for approval. But this, on the other hand, evaluated resolution plan can contain any damn impairment. Outside है ना वो तो plan. Outside plan में तो impairment आएगा ही आएगा. उसके लिए कोई रीजनिंग नहीं देनी है COC को. बट अगर प्रमोटर के प्लान को अगर if they approve it with impairment, then they have to record reasons in writing. कि हम इसको क्यों वापस बैठने दे रहे हैं प्रमोटर को, despite the fact he has brought the company to such a state of affairs and I am allowing 50% concession or haircut. So ये तो फिर then everyone will do it, isn't it? So therefore they have to record reasons in writing. This is, so now they are also being made responsible, right? It's not that bankers can get scot-free. So acha, this is one more explanation which has been given under 54K. That is there, that CD can submit the plan either singly or jointly with any person. That means maybe the promoters don't have money, so they can ask for a finance partner to walk with them. A joint venture partner can walk with them. So any third party or investor can also come in. This is the best advantage of this plan, right? And this is the definition of impairment. It says claims will be considered as impaired when the resolution plan does not provide for full payment of the confirmed claims. That means 100% से 1% भी less हो गया, 1 paisa less is known as impairment. So this is one of the very drastic definitions which has been given of impairment. Now, so Now AA will approve it within 30 days because 190 days is gone. 30 days now they have given to the to the adjudicating authority, and then adjudicating authority will also ensure effective implementation. So देखिए अब third stage पे role of RP will still remain in implementation now. So RP's role was in pre-PPI RP, during PPI RP, and even implementation. One of the fantastic things which is there, isn't it? Okay. Now, this is a more serious thing, my dear friends. What is serious now? Some question is asked to me that can COC decide during PPIRP to liquidate the company? Because in CIRP, they can take a call, right? In the first meeting of COC also, they can say, let the company go into liquidation. But can they do so in PPIRP? The answer is no. The answer is big no. But there is a serious clause, and let us try to understand that. Okay, I told you that vesting of the power, there is a section which is there, right? Vesting of the powers, vesting of the management. Now, management can be vested, and that section was Jeopardy section 54J. I think you remember that, right? 54J, my dear friends, committee of creditors with 66% majority can decide that now the management should vest with the RP. चलिए COC ने decide कर लिया, but COC is not the final authority. Now the application goes to adjudicating authority. Now the adjudicating authority will now decide only on two grounds, either of the two grounds, right? There are two grounds which are mentioned in 54K. They have to be satisfied. Otherwise, adjudicating authority cannot pass an order. Number one, affairs of the corporate debtor have been conducted in a fraudulent manner during PPIRP. अब PPIRP तो स्टार्ट कर दी, लेकिन फ्रॉड फिर भी चल रहा था कंपनी का. So if it is found out, then management can be asked to step aside and RP will take over. Okay, and then there is an or. ये तो एक first condition हो गया. What is the second condition? That there has been gross mismanagement of the affairs of the corporate. Fraud नहीं है, but mismanagement है. ढंग से नहीं चला पा रहे हैं. Gross mismanagement भी gross है. Right? Then it shall pass an order that vesting of the management of the corporate debtor now shall vest in the resolution professional. चलिए 54K तो हो गया. अब इसके consequences समझ लीजिए. If the adjudicating authority has already passed a vesting order, and now second condition, coupled with the second condition, that approved resolution plan, which is BRP, it is impaired, but it does not result in change in the management or control of the corporate debtor, then in that case, such a plan has to be rejected by the adjudicating authority. अब consequences देखिए इधर, मैं दोबारा repeat करता हूँ. BRP with impairment can be approved with the by the COC. First, they can ask for dilution in the management or control, but they can still say, okay, don't dilute, but we are giving reasons. Fine, वहां तक तो ठीक है. But coupled with the fact, if a vesting order has already been passed, अगर ये दोनों condition हो गई, vesting order already passed under 54J, and BRP with approved as becomes ARP, but it is impaired, and it does not result in dilution of the management or control of the CD, because COC has approved it as such by giving reasons. If these two conditions are satisfied, then a adjudicating authority cannot approve such a plan. It has to reject the plan, terminate the PPIRP, and third serious thing, look at this, they have to order liquidation. Liquidation COC नहीं कर सकता, adjudicating authority has to do it under these conditions, और shall लिखा हुआ. It's not the discretion. So देखिए, अगर आप fraud करेंगे तो बड़ा serious consequences. These are the checks and balances which I was talking about. So management has to be careful that they are not trying to cheat anyone, you see, by bringing in PPIRP. So it must be an honest PPIRP. That's what it says. Okay. So termination of PPIRP, very simple. When the 90 days expire, plan not approved, well, or that is to go for termination, or supposing the first meeting of COC decides that, okay, let us terminate PPIRP. We don't want to go ahead. That's okay. Fine. We will respect them. And these are the two situations where the PPIRP will stand terminated. Okay. Okay. Then this is also another last, you see, last 2-3 things which I can take up is CIRP in PPIRP. COC can decide to terminate PPIRP. One, COC can decide with 66% majority कि इसको कंपनी को CIRP में भेज दो. But COC cannot decide to send it liquidation. But this is the only difference which is there. So they can decide both. या तो process को end कर दो. अच्छा, एक और भी very interesting thing. People do ask me, sir, what are the consequences of termination? Very simple. If the PPIRP is terminated without approval or resolution plan, company comes back on its own rails. जैसे पहले थी वैसे हो गई. CRP automatic नहीं है. Unless COC decides to send it to CIRP. So once you come back, now somebody can start your CIRP later on. That's all right. That is permissible. Okay. So COC with 66% can go pass a resolution for CIRP before approval of the plan, right? But before approval, अगर approve करने के बाद फिर उनका कोई role नहीं है. That is what it is essential to look at this. Okay. Then adjudicating authority, once that resolution is passed, adjudicating authority, what it will do? It will terminate PPIRP. It will appoint the RP now as IRP. Look at this. वो बेचारा RP बना था, वो RP से उसका फिर डेजिग्नेशन चेंज हो गया, अब IRP बन गया. अब COC फिर दोबारा उसको अपॉइंट करेगी, RP बने ना बने. And PPIRP cost will be considered as CIRP cost, will be included as a CIRP cost. Okay, and ICD will be insolvency commencement date will be considered as a date of the order, and this shall be deemed as an order under section 7. उसमें clearly लिखा हुआ, right? So this is what it is known as this thing. So let us recapitulate, friends, and obviously before I end, I'll take up another aspect which is very important. Let us recapitulate. BRP or revised BRP, if it does not impair claims of OCs, it may be approved, may not be approved. Impaired वाला तो approve हो ही नहीं सकता, but अगर वो non-impaired है, तब भी chance है approve हो या ना हो. That's up to the choice of the COC. If BRP or revised BRP, if it contains impairment of claims of OCs, then COC will ask RP to invite PRAs, prospective resolution applicants. Then they will evaluate the plans. Then they will select ERP. If ERP becomes SBRP, because usko bhi criteria se match karenge, it will be selected for approval. If not selected, then or there is no SBRP, then ERP will compete with BRP. Clear hai? अब ERP BRP में competition हो गया and selected for approval, and then whatever you see is wins, that is selected for approval. So SBRP, if it is selected, it may be approved. If there is no SBRP, then better of BRP or BRP will be selected for approval, and that may or may not be approved. So 3 selection criteria processes and then approval. Approval तो last में होनी है 66% से, वो भी reject हो सकता है. मान लीजिए BRP is the best plan, wins in ERP. That does not mean it is approved. It will still go to the COC for 66% voting, and still COC can still reject it. So the process looks to be a little complicated, but थोड़ा simple भी है. अगर if understanding हो जाए तो बड़ा simple लगता है. But otherwise it's a little complicated process which has been made out there. Okay. So okay, and if the BRP contains impairment, then COC may require dilution, or COC may approve it without dilution, but for reasons to be recorded. That is what I told you. But if they record for reasons and there is a vesting order already passed, then there are serious things. Plan will not be approved. Termination of PPIRP will happen, and company will go into liquidation straight away. Serious consequences. So therefore, let us advise that the promoters not to impair. Okay, so without impairment लाइए, किसी फंडर investor को साथ add कर लीजिए. I think that will be the best thing which is there. Okay, so this is the role of this thing. Termination, obviously, when I say that 90 days are over, no plan approved by COC, or COC terminates the process. So in this case, termination of PPIRP will happen. Now, friends, there is one more section which has been added newly, is 11A. Now, what does it say? There can be a chance that on 4th April, one CIRP application was pending against the X company. Can that company bring in the PPIRP application. So if the you see, say application is pending, already CRP application is pending, and if this application is filed, then but this application has to be filed within 14 days. So within 14 days, if you file this application, then adjudicating authority will consider first the application for PPIRP and not for CIRP. This is what it is very important. But if it is filed after 14 days, right, then the adjudicating authority will first dispose of that section 79 or 10. So it will not consider this application first. So it has been given 14 days time period, which is there. So this is what the whole of the provisions will talks about it. So this is a, you see, interesting process. And supposing the you can say for PPIRP, they have not given very specific provisions. So certain provisions of CIRP also apply to this case, like avoidance transactions, 32A, 29A, 28, like COC powers, all those replacement of the RP, all those provisions continue to apply for meetings of the COC, how they are to be held. And supposing it's a real estate company, what are the powers and the rights of the authorized representative, 25A. So all these sections continue to apply. But if it goes to the CIRP, then 54O is there. That means the original provisions of CIRP will continue to apply in that particular case. So these are the, on broader perspective, you see, this is what the PPIRP. Well, I will leave some window open for the questions. So maybe 20 minutes are left. We can utilize that. So over to Anjali ma'am.
Thank you, sir. We would like to have questions. You can type it in the chat box, or at the same time, you can unmute and ask the question.
Yeah. I think unmuting will be very good. So friends, okay, Gautam Deswal ji saying kindly share the PPT. Sir, PPT तो आपको मिल जाएगा. अभी तो chance है question पूछने का. Definitely PPT is made for you, friends. So definitely you'll get it, right? But if you still want to ask a question or how to pass insolvency exam also, वो पूछना तो वो पूछ लीजिए sir. Anything you want to ask, okay?
सर आपके support से insolvency exam तो pass कर लिए.
Very good, very good.
सर एक चीज बताइए, COC जो refer करेगी for CIRP in case of default which is less than 1 crore at right now in situation, can it be referred then also?
Good question. It cannot be, sir, because वो तो देखिए जो base threshold condition है वो तो satisfy होना पड़ेगा ना. So yes. if it is less than 1 crore, obviously it can't come under CIRP. But if the debt is default is more than 1 crore, yes, only in that situation they can start CIRP.
Yeah.
Good question, sir. I think good observation. Great. गौतम जी, मुझे लग रहा है हम लोग कहीं मिले हुए हैं पहले.
सर आईपी की जब ट्रेनिंग चल रही थी उस वक्त भी मिले थे अपने.
Okay.
आपकी क्लास में भी मिला था सर मैं आपसे. I had been your student.
Yeah. Yesterday also there was another batch of this thing. You see, pre-registration education course.
Sir, it is always pleasure to listen you, sir.
Yeah. कल भी था 45th batch था. कल भी मैं 5 घंटे lecture दे के आया सर. चलो, great.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, great. So any more questions?
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, the BRP, that is the base resolution plan to be prepared by promoters.
Right.
Can you throw some light what should be the features, characteristics, format, because nothing has been said in the act.
Okay. Well, it will be on the lines of the resolution plans which are prepared under CIRP, right? So what you are going to state is very few important things. Number one, what are the claims which are there? What you are going to do with those claims, how much you are going to pay, what is the haircut. So that tabular chart and everything will be decided beforehand. So that's the best part which is to be seen. Then what are the reliefs and concessions you are seeking? Because sometimes you may seek some deferment from the tax authorities or some other thing, because this is something where you can ask for it. This is the difference between OTS. People ask me, sir, OTS में क्यों ना? अरे OTS में आपको statutory liability से थोड़ी जान छूटती है. You can't get those reliefs and concessions. But here, who is putting a stamp? The NCLT is putting a stamp and you can get, you see, a lot of waivers from the NCLT. So reliefs and concessions, you will have to mention. You will have to mention about the how you are going to implement the plan. You will have to mention the time period within which you are going to pay this amount. So those are all the things which you are going to mention in the plan, and monitoring agency and some other. I mean, just like a natural resolution, normal resolution plan under CIRP, it will be containing all provisions. But let's try to make it very, very simpler. I think let's not make it very complicated, because if we make it complicated, then it becomes a problem, right? So that's there. Okay. Any more questions? Okay, Rajkumar ji says, I am planning to appear for IBC exam. Need your guidance for the same. Yes, sir. Anytime. Or what we can do is, if your Ahmedabad branch can hold, you see, maybe 3-4 days classes, so I can also come and speak on one of those days. I think that will help everyone. Otherwise, there are, you see, my recorded lectures are there, or some live classes also I do. So, वो कभी आपको उसमें जाना तो उसमें भी जा सकते हैं, right? I'm a faculty for, you see, an organization called as Transition. So you go to their website, you will find out some more details. Okay. So anytime you can get in touch with me, friends. Please do that. I think if I'm able to motivate few out of you, I think that will be a good thing, right? Okay. So Anjali ji, I believe there are no more questions. So maybe we can wind up.
Yes, sir. I think you have explained it fantastically well, that even I have taken notes. And thank you, sir, for not only imparting the technical knowledge, but inspiring the members to become insolvency professionals, and showing them how this opportunity, how they can grab this opportunity. It's always a treat to listen to you, sir. And amazing, excellent presentation you have done. We have totally understood how it is going to take it for the PPIRP is going to take further. We have at Ahmedabad branch, sir, we have noted all your suggestions. We are soon going to have a session on how to clear. We had been doing, and we'll soon have another session how to clear IBC exams, how to clear valuation exam. We have also talked about the emerging opportunities. In the first session was about emerging opportunities in IBC. So even if you are not an insolvency professional, how you can take advantage being a chartered accountant to serve the clients. Thank you so much. As usual, the session was very enlightening, very excellent presentation. Ahmedabad branch will look for you for your physical presence very soon. Thank you so much. And thank you all participants for the patient hearing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
Great, grateful, ma'am. Thank you. And I would love to come to Ahmedabad when the COVID situation improves. Thank you.
Correct, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.